Y'all, before we even get into it, this ain't just a podcast. This us talking to the block, to the moms, to the homies lost, to the ones fighting demons in silence, to the kings and queens that forgot their crown. We four brothers coming straight from mud, hitting the web not for clout but for purse bills. We the night brothers, speaking truth to the mic, shining through the struggle, bringing dark to the light. Block to your soul, let the message ignite. Podcast for the people, every word take flight. Gritty like the grind, hell first we strive. Social heat in the streets, trying to keep hope alive. 4 mics, 1 mission, make the people revive. It's the night time, tune in, feel the vibe. We 4 deep like corners on the block, mics hot in the lab, cooking truth non-stop, no gimmicks. This ain't clickbait chatter, this heartbeat, struggling soul, blacker than batter. Got fam trying to heal, broke bills on the table. Talk health, mental wealth, if we able, we enable. From the hood to the web, we built this escape. Tired of seeing kings trapped in a lowercase fake. Click clack on the keys, we ain't just pie, we preach it. Street slang, health hacks, real talk preaching. See the system rigged, trying to cage our minds, but we cracking the code like it's Columbine. I'm the brother with the blueprint, knowledge in my stash. Turn trauma to armor, pain into cash. 1 mic, 4 voices, no filters, no mask. We ain't just streaming, we building that path. We the night brothers, speaking truth to the mic, shining through the struggle, bringing dark to the light. Block to your soul, let the message ignite. Podcast for the people, every word take flight. Gritty like the grind, health first we strive. Social heat in the streets, trying to keep hope alive. 4 mics, 1 mission, make the people revive. It's the nighttime, tune in, feel the vibe.
Oh yeah, 4 mics, 1 mission. Nighttime, nighttime.
I seen young blood.
Peace. Peace
Hey,
and
peace
love.
and love, my brothers. How's it going, man? My brothers. Man, it's good to be
All
back in this
love.
place. What's say now, Axel? How you doing, my brother?
Hey man, give thanks. I'm super thankful and see me immediately in the place to be. Cheryl, Queen, and Mark be doing well. Give thanks. How about
Lennon,
yourself,
how you
brother?
doing, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I got to get reacclimated. It's been so long.
It's
that
been a
we've
while,
been on.
been a while.
But we are pleased to be back. Most of you know what has transpired since the last time we were on the air with the loss of our beloved sister Dee Goodwyn, and I hope that we can keep it together tonight as far as emotions go. But we are pleased to be back. It took a little time to process and kind of get our bearings again. But tonight we have we had a whole show lined up tonight for y'all, all about something else, a health-related aspect, and as well as a tribute that we were going to do for my sister. But with the news of this morning, I woke out of bed this morning. One of the first things I heard was the passing of a tremendous warrior and a pioneer for civil rights, Jesse Giant, Reverend Jesse
For everybody.
Jackson.
Yeah.
That he carried so many hats, Q, and he did so much in his life and times that we would be remiss to not just drop everything and have a show kind of dedicated and built around him. Would you agree, brothers?
Absolutely.
Oh, without question.
Absolutely.
That's why.
And
That's why we're here.
but the big thing is, Arden, could we do this justice by us just doing this, you think?
Oh well, that's why we brought in a heavy hitter. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, you need you need a shooter. That's gonna shoot you a straight gift. So we got a hired gun in here tonight, baby. That's what we got. Straight up. You know what I mean? The
I like that.
gunslinger.
I like that.
The original gunslinger. You know what I mean? He comes with the truth and pushes.
Look, if it said,
everything
sometimes
on the line
it's
at the same time.
Hey, Howard,
Yes,
thanks.
sir. Now,
We stand true.
sometimes it's good to get people get the information from the source. Well, tonight we're going to the source. And thank you, Howard Powell. Appreciate that, brother. Hey, Miss Sharon, how you doing? Miss Harris.
So
how are
Q, do you
Yes,
want to
sir.
tell folks, we're going to talk Jesse tonight. We're going to talk Dee Goodwyn tonight. two
Yes, sir.
pioneers in their own right within their own worlds, which was in their own circles. Uh, but do you want to tell folks who you brought on tonight? Who we got tonight?
Yes, sir. We have the one, the only, the honorable brother Carl Snowden, who has done incredible, just incredible things in this community and in this region, and who had a personal relationship with Brother Jackson, knew him well. They've worked together on several things. And when we talk about Brother Jesse, we figure there's no better person in this area to have on talk about the life and legacy of Brother Jesse Jackson and the Honorable Carl Snow. Welcome to the show, my brother. Welcome to the show.
Well,
Peace and
thank you
love,
all.
brother.
Thanks for the
Appreciate you.
invitation.
Indeed.
Um, you're right when you say that we had two great people we've lost, Dee Goodwin
Yes.
and the Reverend L. Jackson. And both, I believe, have left a impact in our community that will not be forgotten. And hopefully we'll be smart enough to preserve their legacy so that future
Amen.
generations
Amen.
know why it's important that we pause and honor them.
Amen. Amen, my brother. Lenny?
So, Carl, instead of us giving a history of Reverend Jackson's life, you you knew him personally, and we thought it'd be best for you to kind of just talk a little bit about how and why this man was so important to not just the Black history of the United States, but the history of the United States. Uh,
Yes.
some of the things that he did coming from was Greenville, South Carolina. Some of the challenges that he had landing back in Chicago, and really, walking with Dr. King. My God, what you see right there on the balcony, the Lorraine Motel right there on the balcony. Can you just kind of let's just kind of go through his life a little bit and help the audience to understand the magnitude which needs to be told and understood by not just our generation, but passed down through the younger generations as well. So the floor is yours, Carl, as folks welcome you.
Well, let me just say this first again. Thank you. For those who really want to know who Jesse Jackson was, I strongly recommend a book. It's called The Man, the Myth, and the Movement. It's written by a
Mm.
woman named Barbara Reynolds, which really tells this incredible story of Jesse Jackson. What most people do not know, they'd be shocked to hear this, but Jesse Jackson was born out of wedlock. His mother, uh, he was born and raised, by the way, without a father. His actual father, literally, literally, was his next door neighbor who impregnated
Wow.
his mother, who was only 16 years old at the time.
Wow, wow! I
She became,
never knew none of that.
You dropping
and
nuggets right there, brother.
and one of the things Jesse Jackson was became famous for was "I Am Somebody," and people don't realize where that "I Am Somebody" came from. And here's a quick story. He was born and raised in a place called Greenville, South Carolina. And Jesse Jackson, by the way, was an athlete. He played football. Smart guy, even as a young person. One day he's playing, as boys often do, just playing what's called a dozens. Dozens is where you get an opportunity to.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know about the dozens, baby.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Joning
But
is the next word for you.
but as you all know, there was this rule, and the rule was you could talk about anybody except
Yo,
Mother.
mama.
his mother. And if you talk about
Huh?
somebody's mother, you better be prepared to fight.
Fight.
I mean, that was the reality. And so here's Jesse Jackson with his boys, if you will, homeboys, and they joking back and forth and going back and forth. And I just told you the rule is you could talk about everybody except somebody's mother. Because if
Mm-hmm.
you did that, it was fighting time. So they got into a little heated argument, and one kid says to Jesse Jackson, I know one thing. I know something you don't know. And Jesse said, what? I know who your father is.
Oh
Jesse
wow.
said, what?
Oh,
I
Wow.
know my father. My father is Jesse Jackson Sr. And the young man says, no, that's not your father. That is not your father. You are a,
Wow.
he called
Wow.
Jesse a bastard.
Oh,
And he wanted to tell Jesse that his father was not the man that he was saying was his father. So Jesse Jackson, being who he was, 13, 14 years old, he went home to his mother. And I told you his mother had gotten pregnant at the age of 16. So she's a young woman. And he goes to his mother and says, listen, these kids are telling me that my father is not Jesse Jackson. They're telling me I have another father. What are they talking about? And the mother says to Jesse, boy, shut up and just go play. Never denied that when his father. And so Jesse heard that the man he thought was his father was not his father. And the comment, I am somebody, came from an early scar, psychological scar, where people were telling him he wasn't nobody, didn't know who his father was, grew up in poverty, and that shaped Jesse Jackson, the man. And Jesse Jackson was born and not only tell people that he was somebody, but Jesse Jackson became one of the first international figures. Jesse wasn't just America. Jesse Jackson was world renowned. And there are a lot of Jesse Jackson stories, but the one I like to focus on with the idea that the audience that's watching is mostly Annapolis. I want to just share this quick story on Jesse Jackson and Annapolis. Jesse Jackson visited Robinwood.
did he really? Wow, I never knew that either. I knew he came to Annapolis.
Yeah, asked a woman named Forkerta Forster when Jesse Jackson came into Robinwood. I remember when he came to Robinwood. Some of you may recall I actually ran for office, and Jesse Jackson came to Annapolis to support my candidacy. I had supported him for the president. He had run in 1984. He promised me that if I run for public office, he would return the favor. And he did. He came to Annapolis. And he went and spoke in Robinwood and places and did what he had to do. And he gave an incredible speech at First Baptist Church.
Yes.
Where I believe I've got a cassette recording of it, but not the video. Cassette recording. I'm going to look up and find.
There is a Pastor Bowman.
And the Reverend Leroy Bowman. I'll never forget when Jesse Jackson spoke at First Baptist Church. Good God, the place was on fire that day. And those of us who had the privilege of knowing the Reverend Leroy Bowman, know that Reverend Bowman was nobody to play with either when it came to
Oh, yeah.
Not at all.
And the scene that I will always remember is of Reverend Bowman and the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Reverend Jesse Jackson is saying at one point during this speech he's given that there are times when your utility lights get turned off. He said, they turn out the lights, turn out the water, and they put you in the dark. I want y'all to know that there is a light. There is a light. And if you follow this light, and the next time here's the Reverend Leroy Bowman running across the stage and jumping in the air and doing a complete circle and landing on his feet and said, there is a light. And of course, he just Jesse Jackson was a great orator. He understood how the media worked. He was the one that mastered what they called the sound bite. He knew before we are at the level we are now, how important it would be able to tell something in a sound bite. Up with hope, down with dope.
Yep, I remember that.
Yes.
Indeed.
I remember that.
I would rather, he said in his 1984 speech before the National Democratic Convention, he said, I would rather have Roosevelt in a wheelchair than Reagan on a horse. I said,
And he always had bars.
Carl, you're right, On. You're right, On. He always
had the line. I mean, you
can rhyme.
One line is the message, like
What
you
he was
said, they
able to do
condense a
was
message in a phrase is
he
everything.
took us to a level politically in this country.
Uh-huh.
People in Prince George's County need to know that there is the reason why we have in Prince George's County today a county executive, a black state's attorney, Jesse Jackson. When Jesse Jackson came to Maryland in the 80s, Prince George County was not what it is today. It's because of Jesse Jackson and what he was able to do to help change the politics of Prince George's County. Same thing's true here in the city of Annapolis. When he came in Annapolis, he was able to help us understand how to use political power. And there are people who've gone on to went into politics. Daryl Jones being the first African American male that got elected in Anne Arundel County, said it was Jesse Jackson's influence that helped them get involved in politics. And so many people I know that Jesse Jackson had this profound impact on. And here's one of the lines, you got to hear this. You guys, you know, we'll be doing this all the time. And Jesse was just a master at wordsmith.
Yes.
There was a time that the criticism in it was if someone says you're an opportunist, or he just an opportunist, they told Jesse Jackson. He just an opportunist. And Jesse didn't take that from a disparaging standpoint, but Jesse Jackson said, yes, I'm an opportunist. You should be too. Whenever there's an opportunity, you should take advantage of opportunity. What's wrong with being an opportunist? And again,
that's a good spin. He spent that on him. But Brother Snowden, you know, there's so many different aspects to Jesse's life, and we just want to touch on a few of them. And we just do. I guess we're all going to have some questions, but I wanted to start off with, if you could just touch on the Rainbow Coalition. You know, Jesse built this Rainbow Coalition that was built on
Operation Push before that, though, Q.
Yeah. But let's want to talk about this: blacks, Latinos, labor workers, the poor, and do you think it's possible in this day and time that with this political climate that anybody could ever recapture that type of movement again?
Yes.
What do you say to that?
Yes. Not only can they are doing it. There are parts of the country where there are African American candidates who are just setting place on fire. There's a young man that some may have heard of. His name is Justin Pearson. He's running for the Congress down in Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis, Tennessee?
We did a show on him.
His name is Justin Pearson. And that brother is on fire. He's doing all kinds of incredible things. And again, for those who pay attention, there's a woman named Jasmine Crockett, man. She's
My
hero.
I love Jasmine Crockett. President Trump called her a bitch. That was his term.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
And her response, Lenny, you gotta love her response.
Yeah. Fire, man.
He said, if I'm a bitch, you gonna find out what a bitch slap is. The woman, I just love it.
I didn't hear the response.
Oh, man.
But that's what I'm saying. She told me on her form, you want to run that. Well, like I said, we've been training
Oh, my goodness.
in that, from the dozens to Jonin to whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, she's a real one, as they say. She's a
sharp.
real one.
She is sharp.
Yeah, she's on.
And she don't miss too many beats.
She's definitely on point. Carl, I have a question for you. And most of this is going to be centered around Jesse Jackson. And audience, if you have a question as well, because Carl is one of the only people that I know had a personal relationship with Jesse Jackson in Annapolis. So my question centers around that. How did you get to come to know Jesse Jackson, and how did that personal relationship kind of develop over the years? I know you previously just mentioned you supported him during his presidential run. He supported you during your runs in politics. But how did you get to meet him and know him, and how did that spawn?
For those, particularly people in the audience who's a little older, when people say "run, Jesse, run," that was it was a movement. When Jesse Jackson ran for the presidency, I just want to remind people he wasn't taken seriously. People didn't
Nope.
think, come on, Jesse Jackson, you got to be kidding.
Nope. I remember, brother.
President, what is he doing, wasting our time? Sort of. That was the attitude. And by the way, the majority of black politicians in the beginning did not support Jesse Jackson.
That's
They,
right.
they didn't do it. But what Jesse Jackson was able to do is create a movement around politics. More black people became registered voters because of Jesse Jackson's candidacy than ever. More black people ran for public office. I told you he supported my candidacy in '85. I had not even given thought to running for public office until Jesse Jackson came along and was able to demonstrate what could happen if somebody's really committed to politics. And it only takes people who understand politics to know what I'm about to say. Jesse Jackson's greatest contribution was his ability to set the agenda for the 1984 election.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's right.
Is that South Africa wasn't even being discussed. Nobody talked about no South Africa.
Yeah, you're right.
Jackson put it on the front burner. He made the government take a position that they were not willing to do. Ronald Reagan was president, very conservative president.
Yes.
But Jesse Jackson said, our relationship with South Africa, a racist republic, should not stand. And he led the charge, and he changed national foreign policy. Before Jesse Jackson ran for president, this government, the United States of America, cooperated with the Republic of South Africa. They supported that racist regime.
They were the blueprint of that racist regime.
Oh, yeah.
Let's keep it a buck.
Oh, yeah. And so one of the things that Jesse Jackson was able to do, he's now deceased, he partnered with a man named Ron Dellums. Ron Dellums was
DC.
from California.
Oh, California, okay.
He passed what was called the Dellums Amendment.
Okay.
And that amendment overrode Reagan's veto. Reagan had vetoed the Dellums bill, and Dellums bill was just a simple bill that said that no longer will we deal with South Africa. And he did that because of Jesse Jackson.
Wow.
Really remarkable person. And then one other thing I want to share with you that people have forgotten. And it made national news, and it happened here in Annapolis. In June of 1993, I was there, so I can speak with this as a life experience. In 1993, in a city of Annapolis, the former president of the United States, a guy named Bill Clinton, had come to the United States Naval Academy graduation in June. It's not unusual for a president to speak. There are many presidents speak at graduations. But there was something different about the Bill Clinton, and most people have forgotten this. Bill Clinton was the first president of the United States that had more black Secret Service agents than any president before him.
Wow. I did not know that. I was not aware of that.
So in 1993, President Clinton comes to Annapolis to speak at the United States Naval Academy, and with him come these black Secret Service agents who got hungry, and they decided they want to stop and get a bite to eat. And where did they stop at? A place called Denny's on West Street.
Oh,
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And in 1993, these 6 black Secret Service agents was refused service.
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
And Bill Clinton, who was president of the United States, who people used to jokingly refer to as the first black president.
Black president, yeah.
All that foolishness. But anyway, he didn't say a word with these black Secret Service agents being discriminated against. Jesse Jackson said, we can't have this. We can't have that. So Jesse Jackson, I told you, I had campaigned for him in 1984. I'd become a part of that Rainbow Coalition. He called me and said, have you heard about what happened to these black agents in Annapolis. And of course, it was all over the news. I'd heard it. He said, this Saturday, he calls on a Tuesday, this Saturday, we need to organize a demonstration in Annapolis at dinner. And we got to have it done by Saturday. And the man was so savvy when it comes to media. Because they were talking about, well, we're going to have it late. Nope, we can't have it late afternoon, he said. We got to have it early morning.
Early morning.
For those who have forgotten, at that time, television was 3 television stations. That's all.
Yeah.
ABC, ABC, CBS. That was it.
That was it.
It later now we got all kinds of stations, but that's what it was, and Jesse understood that. And in those days, you had a news broadcast. Unlike today, news is 24-hour cycles. That was not true then. There was a time you had the 6 o'clock news, the 11 o'clock news, and the 12 o'clock, and that was it.
Yeah.
When CNN came, it became 24 hours. But anyway, so Jesse Jackson calls this demonstration. We show up at the demonstration, and the numbers are pretty significant. By the way, just for your edification, Dee was there. Dee Goodwyn.
Sis was there.
Was part of that demonstration. And there's Jesse Jackson, 6 feet 3 inches tall brother. And Jesse Jackson is speaking to a group of us about this discrimination. And some hecklers show up, some white people, who were shouting and screaming, pretty nasty stuff toward Jesse Jackson. And the media's there, and what Jesse Jackson did was just unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. Imagine a group of white people, if you will, white men who are in trucks screaming all this racial slurs, all kinds of stuff. And Jesse Jackson tells the audience who's trying to respond back to this group, keep quiet, keep quiet, keep quiet. And then he says, the 2 of us, come here with me. I want you to come with me. So, of course, we follow Jesse Jackson over. He meets these hecklers, white men, and they're stunned. Because here's Jesse Jackson walking toward them. Remember, they're shouting all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's no police. There's no security at all.
Wow.
He's by himself. And Jesse walks up to one of the white men who are really just stunned and says to them, I need to explain something to you guys. The late Martin Luther King Jr. was nonviolent. And I believe in nonviolence. But I also believe you must be as violent as you can. So I want you to know that.
Hold up. What do you say? You don't what?
Don't come over here. You don't want to see this side of me.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
They accused him with Dr. King, as you all know.
Yes.
With nonviolence. Jesse said that wasn't him. He said you have nonviolent as you can, and as violent.
But if I have to open up this can, I'll open up this can.
Oh yeah, and by the way, they backed off. Bigots are, most bigots are cowards.
Oh yeah.
One on you, they come in groups, they come in mobs.
That's it.
And Jesse Jackson understood that. Jesse Jackson comes to Annapolis in 1993. He speaks out against what happens at Denny. That becomes a national story, by the way. Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights on the Law in D.C.
Yep. It did become a national story. You're right.
Yeah,
Yep.
And it's some of the case. And today, for those of you who go to Denny's, one of the reasons why if you're a black patron, you're treated differently than you were 40 years ago. It's because of Jesse Jackson.
Yep.
He made them pay a price, and they paid it too.
I remember they had to do a lot of rebranding because of that, if I'm not mistaken. Because they took a real hit. They took a real hit publicly, nationwide.
We'll call shifting again. Once again, we're going to shift gears a little bit as we still continue to remember Jesse. Jesse was known for a lot of things. I remember one of the things that Jesse received a lot of credit for, and there were some other politicians who probably a little a little jealous of his ability to do this. But I remember him on several occasions going overseas and negotiating with other countries, getting prisoners released and brought back home.
That's
And
true.
at that time, that was unheard of. Unheard of. But he had this ability to go over there to these other countries and do this. Could you address that a little if you could, please?
Yeah, the man he freed, his name is Lieutenant Robert Goodwyn.
Yes.
He'd been shot down in Syria, which is a country that was in conflict with the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Ronald Reagan was president of the United States at the time,
At the time.
but not able to negotiate the release of this guy. So Jesse Jackson took a delegation of people, including, by the way, Minister Louis Farrakhan, who
Wow.
can speak Arabic.
Wow.
They went to Syria, and he negotiated. Jesse Jackson, was able to negotiate the release of Lieutenant Goodwyn. And just for audiences to know, Lieutenant Goodwyn was married to a white woman.
Wow.
Right? In 1993. So Jesse Jackson makes this negotiation, brings him home. Now, the fact that he made that accomplishment was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And this is part of the Jesse Jackson that people need to know. Jesse Jackson, the Ronald Reagan got a lot of pressure.
Yes.
Thank Jesse Jackson for doing what he did. And Reagan was no fan of Jesse Jackson because I told you when Reagan was running. So they bring him to the White House and they had what they call the Rose Garden. And the game plan was at the Rose Garden, the President of the United States, Ronald Reagan, was to thank the Reverend Jesse Jackson, which he did. And the game plan was that after President Reagan finished speaking, everybody was to go back into the White House for something to eat and some photo with the President of the United States. And Jesse Jackson is something that was so incredible. When President Reagan put his hands on Jesse's shoulders to walk him back toward the White House, Jesse spun around and landed back in front of all these microphones with the television. Just started talking. And Reagan and that whole White House, they were so peeved with him because he and I told y'all earlier that Jesse Jackson said an opportunist is not a bad thing. You take advantage.
All those microphones. International.
He would never have this opportunity again
Yes.
to speak to these many people at one time live.
On TV. Yes, sir.
And he went on and did his little 10-minute thing. And
I love it. I love it.
And the man name was Michael DeLorma, who was then working for Reagan. And he said to Jesse Jackson, as long as we are in the White House, you won't be invited back. And he won, by the way. Jesse Jackson,
Wow. That's a mess. Hey,
but
Carl, we want to shift and we're going to come back to Jesse. But we also wanted to talk about Dee Goodwyn, our sister DeLorma. You shared a incredible relationship for probably as long as I've been alive with my sister. You knew my sister probably before I was even born. So we wanted to talk about that. I want to show just a short version of a video that we did at her homegoing service because it's 11 minutes and I don't want to play an entire video. But we're going to play a little bit of that and then we're going to come back. And I want you to talk about the special relationship that you had with our sister, okay?
Before there are memories, there is presence. Before there is legacy, there is love. And when a life is lived with grace, courage, and generosity, it never truly leaves us. It becomes part of who we are. Today, we honor that kind of life. The life of DeLorma Dee Goodwyn. Every now and then, the world is blessed with someone whose presence makes life feel fuller and warmer, more connected. On the 6th of December 1950 in Annapolis, Maryland, that kind of life began. DeLorma Knight, lovingly known as Dee, was born to Leonard C. Knight Sr. and Bessie Mary Knight, a foundation of strength that would shape the remarkable woman she would become. And on the 18th of January 2026, surrounded by the love she had spent a lifetime giving, she slipped peacefully into eternal rest. But a life like Dee's does not end. It echoes through family, through community, through every heart she lifted today. We do more than remember her. We honor her. We celebrate her. We give thanks for her, because some lives are not simply lived, they are poured into. Spearhead the Garland Pucci, Angelina Brown, Elder James, Carl Snowden, and many others we failed to mention. They were not simply companions, they were chosen family. Supported one another through challenges, created memories that time can never erase. To be a friend of Dee was to know steadfast love, the kind that shows up, stands close, and never wavers. Her friendships were not casual. They were part of the beautiful fabric of her life. As a founding member of the Caucus of African American Leaders, she worked tirelessly to uplift and empower the Black community throughout Annapolis and Anne Arundel County. She helped spearhead the Guardians of the First Amendment Memorial, championed the Parent J. Mitchell Memorial, served on the Human Relations Commission, and later on the County Personnel Board. At a time when so many felt divided, Dee built bridges. She brought people together for caucus meetings and organized the Michelle Obama Awards, recognizing women whose quiet strength lifted entire communities. She never sought recognition, yet her impact was unmistakable. Dee Goodwyn will forever remain one of this community's unsung heroes. There are people who pass through this world. Dee was one who left this world better than she found it. Her light did not come from recognition. It came from within. Look around. It lives in her family, her friendships, her community. So whenever laughter fills a room, whenever family gathers, whenever kindness is chosen, you may feel her there, still loving, still guiding, still home. Do not wait to tell people you love them. Do not wait to show kindness. Do not wait to bring others together. Live the way Dee lived, fully, gracefully, generously, because in the end, it is not the years in our life that matter most, but the life in our years. DeLorma Dee Goodwyn was not just someone we loved. She was a gift, and now is her time to hear, "Well done, my good and faithful servant."
Oh man, it's hard for me to watch that, Carl, but and I know you.
And that was a condensed version of it, guys. For our audience, we want you to know that's just a condensed version of the video.
I just want to thank, I said at the funeral to people who saw that video, we didn't need a eulogy. With all due respect to her uncle who preached the eulogy, I got to just say, you guys, I've never seen, ever, at anybody's funeral, a video put together as beautifully as that was done. It is probably, for me, personally, it just captured who she was so well. How many people really understood, even today, Northwest Street, Old Fourth,
Mm-hmm.
only people who are Annapolitans who are been here for some time is going to understand what I'm about to say. In the old Fourth Ward, places that we will never see again, Susie T, Dixie Hotel,
Mm-hmm.
Red Carpet Inn,
Yeah. Yep.
to that many names.
Mm-hmm.
The barber shop that used to be there on, as we know, the Chambers Barber Shop before Jim
Mm-hmm.
Jones was
West
there.
Street.
Butch
Who,
Queens.
who would have thought? That's why, for those who understand something I'm about to say, and I know not everybody will understand this, but it's a universal experience that everybody who's watching this program and all of you have had. I already know. I'm gonna ask a question, but I already know the answer. And the question is, have you ever found yourself saying to yourself, something told me not to do that?
Mm. Yes.
There's not a human being on the face of the earth who have not found themselves at some point saying something told me not to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that something, in my opinion, is God. God never, He always gives us choices. And when we fail to listen to Him, that's when we find ourselves saying, something told me not to do that. What I found just absolutely incredible but deep. And even now, as I'm about to say this to you, it's amazing. I wish people really knew her story.
Mm.
I got to know Dee very, very well. Your mother, Miss Bessie,
Mm-hmm.
people don't know that,
Yeah.
went on the March on Washington in 1963. And I'm going to speculate about something. Here's your mother in 1963 from the city of Annapolis in Washington, D.C., hearing a preacher, a man named Martin Luther King Jr., talking about this dream that he had. And I imagine that she was inspired by so many people. How could she not be on that bright August day? So sunny, so bright. There's King talking about this dream that he had, but his four little children will one day grow up in a nation will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And
Mm.
I can just imagine Mrs. Knight, her children, relating to what the King is saying, and then coming back to Annapolis. And the story I know, because I knew Dee very well. I remember when Dee went to Anne Arundel Community College. I remember that. I remember when she first entered to Anne Arundel Community College. Would go on later to the University of Maryland, would
Yes.
then get a master's degree. I remember her working at a place called Airline, doing what she did, rising to vice president. That's no small feat. It's a
Mm.
major corporation for her to do
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yes, indeed.
The other thing she did, and she did this so brilliantly, they encouraged people. The reason we have a Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial at Anne Arundel Community College, you'll see her name on the memorial. The Perrin J. Mitchell Memorial that we have here in Annapolis at the Pitt Memorial, you'll find her name there. The Coretta Scott King Memorial in Edgewater, Maryland, you'll find her name on that memorial. And before she passed, we talked about doing a memorial to Malcolm X in Annapolis. I hope people hear this.
Mm-hmm.
The impossibility. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that there'd be a memorial to Malcolm X being built in the city of Annapolis? And what I want you guys to know, who are the brothers and the family, because I know you don't know this, Dee Goodwyn met Malcolm X's daughter.
Hmm.
Deuce Malcolm X's daughter. And because people sometimes find this history because they don't know, how could that be? And so what I wanted people to do is not forget who Dee Goodwyn was. And
Amen.
so if you look at my Facebook page, you're going to see I posted a photograph of her introducing Malcolm X's daughter. The same Malcolm X's daughter who will be here in June to dedicate the memorial in which Dee gave the first $1,000 to help build this Malcolm X memorial.
Amen.
Didn't make a fanfare of it. Didn't try to. She just did it, and has been doing those kind of things for years, very quietly. And the one thing that I will treasure for the rest of my life, Dee went places that I've never been. I'm
Mhm.
somebody who's traveled quite a bit,
Mm-hmm.
but she went to China, Thailand, Vietnam, Europe. Who would have somebody in off Northwest Street heard term is called cosmopolitan. A
Mm-hmm.
cosmopolitan is somebody who's well traveled. Class was who she was. She was a
Classy.
cat. That's who she was. A
Yes, indeed.
professional. And one of the things that everybody I know that knew Dee, fashionable,
Yeah.
just incredible. Couldn't imitate her. She she just did her thing.
Yes, yes.
Yes, indeed. And it was always a good thing.
Well, Carl, I know you and the caucus of African American leaders out of Annapolis, which you and Dee and several other formed and participated and led. I know you guys and Priscilla. I talked to you recently, Priscilla. You called me up and Carl talked to you about, and I sent you the video as well. I know you are also a very good friend of my sister. But you guys took, as a leadership, you lost two legendary people in the organization over the last, within the year. And
Yeah.
you guys are doing great work. I just want to publicly say thank you for the work that you're doing in and around the
Yes,
community of
yes, indeed.
Annapolis. And I have to segue because if we stay on D, I'm gonna start crying,
Yeah.
and I don't want to be crying publicly. But I do want to segue just a bit and talk about um, some of the recent things in Annapolis because we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about. And we had Jared Littman on our show previously before the election, and
His
his
opponent. Yeah.
the Republican counterpart as well on the show, just giving the community a fair shot at hearing the words. But he came into office and really kind of shook things up. And I just wanted you to kind of, inform the public and speak about the recent caucus meeting that you had, and you had Jared there speaking about the dismissal. I don't know if I'm using the right word, dismissal or agreed removal from position of the chief of police. Can you speak to that just a bit for us?
I can, but before doing that, Lenny, I know you want to make this segue, but I want to say something. I understand that you and Quavy was responsible for that video,
Yes.
and there's something in the video that I don't want to end this conversation without people hearing something. Sometimes we hear things, we see things, and we really don't see or hear. Reverend Bowman used to say so well, "You didn't hear me. You're listening, but you're not hearing me."
Mm-hmm.
And he was right. So before we make this segment, something but D that I want to reiterate. And you guys did it. That's why I'm so personally moved by this video you did of D. And I hope people heard you. That's why I'm taking the time to repeat this. Because the minute I heard it again, it moved me. We should never make the mistake ever again. People watching this program, please don't make this mistake.
Mm-hmm.
What was in that video on Dee's life was to follow it and I will never forget it. If you know somebody who you care for, tell them you love them now.
Amen.
Yes.
Tell
Amen.
somebody
Yes, indeed.
you parted. And what I loved of that video you guys did, that's why I thought you captured these so well. In the video, you made the point over and over again, not just that Dee was a great person, but she was a loving person.
Yes.
And I am just so pleased to tell you, it makes it easier when you know that you took the time to tell somebody you cared for.
Amen.
It's easier. And for me, Dee was my closest confidant. She was the
She
one
told me many times. She told me that many times, Carl.
I could go to her and get advice.
Yes.
And in my most weakest moment, tears are not a problem for me because I find that sometimes tears are better than words.
Amen.
So I just have to say that.
No,
Please,
man, that's a beautiful point because that's what I remember of her. I knew she was, a lot. She was very well accomplished. She did a lot of stuff, but the D I knew, loved her children like
well,
no other. Loved her
amen.
nieces like no other.
Her
Loved her
friend,
mother to the
and
end of the road till the wheels fall off. She always pushed that love, and that's part of the reason why I push peace and love. I mean, but that's what she should be in the book with the picture of her right there because the love she had. I heard people talk about how she would walk in a room and the room would change or she would have that glow. But she always had so much real love. And that's the most valuable thing and it don't mean nothing till you give it away. And she just was giving it like, so much love and that you can't replace. And
here's what I wanted to share with the audience. We met with Mayor Littman today, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the police department. I want to tell you
Okay.
something. It's a request I've made of them. And people in this community, I hope, understand what we can do collectively if we decide to do something. Dee Goodwyn should not be forgotten. Shouldn't be one of these moments where we say good things about her, and 10 years from now, we don't know who she was. To preserve her legacy, I've told the mayor in no uncertain terms, I don't get a poppycock. If we can build a memorial, and we have, for Malcolm and for Dr. King and all these great men who come this way in Coretta Scott King, there's no reason. And I told the black aldermen on the council, I don't want to hear no poppycock. No
mhm.
reason why we cannot find something appropriate to name in her memory. I'm not talking
Amen.
about, and I just want to make this point. Please hear me. I knew Dee very, very well. And the poem that her granddaughter read,
Yes.
Yes,
Ali,
powerful,
Ali,
powerful.
indeed.
I want to
Super
make
powerful.
sure that that poem is not forgotten because it captured who she was. And I've said to the mayor and to members of the city council, particularly African Americans, I don't want to hear no poppycock. There should be something in the city of Annapolis that we name in her honor. Because here's what I want you to hear me. Hear me good. Nothing made Dee happier than her grandchildren. And when
Yes.
she,
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes, yes,
Amen.
indeed.
so I want a situation when they get older, they can walk by something with her name on it and understand she mattered.
Yes,
Not enough for a community to just simply say she was good.
Yes.
I want to preserve history. And I deliberately said something. I want people to hear me. Those of you on this call are old enough to remember, as I said earlier, Cozy Cannon, Browns, Dixie. But there's a whole generation coming. Never heard of Susie T. Rum, Dixie, and it will not even be in their consciousness. They won't even remember. And what I want people to understand, if you want to preserve the legacy of somebody, you got to leave something for future generations to know. And to make this point, since we're in Black History Month, if I ask each and every one of you and anybody watching this question, they can answer it immediately. If I ask you, who was George Washington? You could tell me that without missing a beat. If I ask you who James Madison was, most people would know who he was. But if I took the time and asked you who Madison Washington was, the vast majority of people listening don't even know who Madison Washington was. And when I tell them that he freed more black people than Abraham Lincoln did, and he did it 40 years before Abraham Lincoln, we need to know that history.
Yes.
Our grandchildren need to know.
Yes.
What I want to show is 50 years from now. Believe me, I understand history. 50 years from now, when someone says, who was Dee Goodwyn? I want to make sure that our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren know who she was. And that doesn't happen by happenstance. It doesn't happen by anything other than us collectively. For those of you on this call, family members, you ought to be calling on the mayor. Hell with this. What do you mean we can't? We as taxpayers, we should be demanding that our history, and she's part of that history.
Yes, indeed.
And so
Be tough.
I just wanted to make sure I made that point. I'll be happy to talk about the police chief and the mayor, but I want to also make sure that we don't lose sight of what just happened. And I'm going to make this point if I might, because something is happening in this country that's bothering me tremendously. And it reflects on our subject today, Jesse Jackson, Dee Goodwyn. What is wrong with us? And here's what I mean. Please hear me. The President of the United States referred to Michelle Obama as an ape. What did we do as a community?
Let it go.
The President of the United States of America called a black woman an ape. You didn't hear me. I said to you that I grew up at a time you could talk about anybody you want, but you don't talk about people's mothers. And if you did talk about it, you better be prepared to fight. Something's wrong. And I made this point to the mayor, and I'll make it to anybody who will want to listen. Don't give me no poppycock. The whole world heard him refer to Michelle Obama as an ape. And what was from our community? Why did now black council members, white council members, people who're supposed to be decent folk, why didn't they put out a resolution condemning what he said? We just elected a black woman, the United States Senator. First time in the history of the country.
Right.
You're going to say a word after they called Michelle Obama an ape? What is wrong with us? And so what made Jesse Jackson, in my opinion, and Dee Goodwyn heroes and sheroes is they understood they had a responsibility to make America better and not bitter. Everything she did, not for herself, but she understood that her grandchildren and great-grandchildren should inherit a world better than she.
Yes.
She fought for that. And so when the current mayor announced that he's replacing the police chief, a group of people meeting with him made it very clear that we thought he made a terrible mistake on that. And for the audience that's listening, I want them to be very clear on something. White people who happen to be police officers said that the former black police chief committed fraud and mismanagement and waste. That's what created this whole controversy. What the public don't know, and what I told Littman he must do, but the public don't know this. The public don't know that the special prosecutor investigated the former chief of police, Ed Jackson, and concluded there was no criminal activity.
Oh, wow. Say that one more time. Say that one more time. I don't think they heard you.
Please
I don't
repeat
think they
that.
heard you.
a special prosecutor. Just so people know who the special prosecutor is. The same special prosecutor that convicted Marilyn Mosby, the same one that convicted Mayor Dixon out of Baltimore, and Mayor
Sheila.
Hughes and other elected officials. That office investigated the allegations of these police officers and determined that there was no criminal wrongdoing, and they closed the case. And do you realize that that fact has not been published in any newspaper? And there are people who today think that Jackson got fired because he did something criminally wrong. It's not right.
So,
It's not true.
so let me ask you a real quick question.
Scott.
Have they asked the mayor directly, in response to that investigation, what is the reason, for the termination or the removal, I should say?
Yes, that was asked of him today. There's a meeting with the mayor on this coming Friday, but a meeting was held today at First Baptist Church with members of the clergy, where they asked that very question of him. And his response was, it's a personnel matter, and I can't go into it. And he went on to say that the mayor, he had asked him to sign a document to settle a case, which he refused, meaning the chief of police refused to sign this particular document. I'm looking at the document. I saw the document. And if I was
did?
yeah, I saw it. And if I was police chief, I wouldn't have signed it either. In fact, Chief Jackson got to sign this document. But the document would have implied that he did something criminal. He did something wrong. And we can't have that nonsense. And so I'll just emphasize this point. Please listen. There's a reason why in America racial slurs used to be used all the time. It wasn't nothing new. Dr. King said when he was growing up, they called him Nigger Boy John so much he thought his name was Nigger. That's how many times. And the only reason why white people's behavior toward black people stopped wasn't because of white people. It's because of black people.
Right.
We stopped behaving a certain way. There was a time you could call a black man the N-word and he'd drop his head and keep walking, wouldn't say a word. Those days are gone. And so when we change, they change. And there's this quote, I love this quote by Dr. King. And it goes to what Jesse Jackson understood. And I want people to really understand this. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, power is making General Motors say yes when they really want to say no.
That's right.
And so if we're going to bring about changes, we got to make people who really want to say no, say yes. And that's why this Malcolm X Memorial being built in the city of Annapolis. Because power is getting people to do the right thing even when they don't want to.
Don't want to. That's right.
Carl.
Appreciate you, Carl, man. You came in and did exactly what we expected and thought.
Yes.
Superseded, because there was some stories in there that, we slid in and I wasn't aware of. I'm not sure about my brothers, but I appreciate your presence. I thank you for being one of those lights in our community that we can go to and get the real story, and it's going to take us to teach our story as we see right now. And I mean, we can keep on pushing them to tell our story also, but realistically, the power is us telling our stories and teaching everyone our stories, because everybody needs to know, but we definitely need to lead with knowing our own self and knowing who we are. Knowledge of self is important. It's everything. Q.
And Carl, I'd just like to thank you and the Caucus of African American Leaders in its totality in continuing to just stand up in this community for the voice, being a voice for the voiceless. And you've really done that. You continue to do that. And I pray that you'll continue to do that moving forward, because there are so many things going on nationally, locally, that are contrary to what this country should really be standing up for. And for you guys to continue to fight the battles on every front I commend you. Um, and I want everybody else to know out here in the audience that they can help out by attending those meetings and becoming a part of the caucus. I made it my point now, Carl, that I'm going to be at every meeting that I can. Taking up my sister's mantle if necessary to be supported. That means financially as well. Because these things require funding. And so I want to recommend that the community at large as a whole support the Caucus of African American Leaders, what they're trying to do and what they continue to do on our behalf. Thank you, my brother.
Yes, Carl, I want to give my thank yous too, because an audience you guys don't know. This is who Carl Snowden is. 5 minutes before this show tonight, we called him on the phone. Quavy called him on the phone. Carl answered the call and agreed to jump on out of the kindness of his heart because he wants issues to be known. He preaches nothing but truth, and he's just been a stalwart in the community of Annapolis for his entire life. And he's a jewel that we should not overlook, we shouldn't take for granted, because he is a jewel of our community in Annapolis. When Annapolis needs something to get done, he's our Martin Luther King. He's our Jesse Jackson.
He's our Malcolm X.
Our Malcolm X.
And
he mentioned something to me tonight that says that it's only one remaining person left in Martin Luther King entourage. And I forget who you told me that was. But I am saying to us tonight that while we have Carl, let's cherish him and let's be thankful for this legacy that God gave us to watch over Annapolis and watch over our communities. And with that, Carl, I'm gonna give you the closing words for tonight and give you the screen to tell folks what you want to tell them and take us out tonight.
I'm going to ask people to do something. It's only going to take 20 seconds of their time, but it will make all the difference in the world. Tomorrow morning, people should call the mayor's office and support building or naming something in honor of Dee Goodwyn. Those people who love Dee as I did, there's things we can do. You are a voter. The telephone number to call for the mayor's office is 410-263-7997. 410-263-7997. And just simply say, I'm calling to support naming something in honor of Dee Goodwyn, who is not only just an outstanding citizen, but she brought so much to Annapolis. And for those who look at my Facebook page, please take a look at that picture of Dee Goodwyn standing next to Malcolm X's daughter years ago. And Dee never forgot that and told Malcolm X's daughter, one day we're going to build a memorial to your father. And I know Dr. Shabazz didn't believe Dee, but June of this year, you're going to see a memorial dedicated to Malcolm X. And at the same time, I want us to see Mayor Littman make a commitment to name something in the city of Annapolis in honor of the cosmopolitan Dee Goodwyn.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you. And thank y'all, audience, for joining us on this special edition of the Night Brother Show. We will resume our normal Tuesday night shows at 8 p.m. We're back, and we want to bring more meaningful content like tonight to the audience to impact lives as well, because we're just two little brothers that sit at the footsteps of Dee. So something rubbed off on us as well.
Amen.
Along with that other brother up in the corner there too.
Yes, Art as well.
Blessed by the best.
And Carl,
Everybody make these calls.
Carl, we'd love to. Let me put that number up one more time. Priscilla had it best. Carl, we want to have you back for a full show. Again, speaking about issues locally that impact lives and matter to everybody in the Annapolis, Anne Arundel County, and that large area in and around the state. If you would be so kind to join us again in the future, we'd love that.
And Carl,
And
one other thing.
Anthony, I look forward to coming back because of your audience and because of what you guys are going to do. We'll be celebrating something that's going to be named in honor of Dee Goodwyn because
Awesome.
of the actions that you guys take starting tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m.
Making
And
it home.
50
Amen.
calls is like a million calls when it comes to the
Yes.
city of
Yeah, flood that phone line. Flood that
That's
phone
right.
line.
Let's flood it, y'all. Let's flood it. Guys,
All
you know
right,
what to do.
y'all. I'm gonna
Thank you
leave.
again.
Good night. I'm gonna leave with the number on the screen and say good night while we play our theme song. All right, y'all.
Hey, everybody,
Keep
thank you
up
for
what
the
you
call.
do. Right there.
Tune in, feel the vibe.